What's up guys? In the last video we talked a little bit about what we're going to be doing in these next few videos here. Today is the day that we start work on our case studies. Now to build these case studies we are going to use what's called collections. Now collections is a tool inside of Jekyll that allows you basically to create your own posts, but they're more unique and they're more customizable than a simple post or a simple page inside of Jekyll. So to learn this part of Jekyll, let's go ahead and jump into the code and start working with it. Alright, so before we go ahead and start working on setting up our collections, first of all, we need to go ahead and make our case studies index page because we don't have that set up yet at all. So I have the server up and running right here, and if I come over here, we'll see, let's refresh this. See, it's working right here, but when we go to the case studies page, there's nothing there. So let's go ahead and make that real quick. So let's open our project up in Atom. All right, so right here's our project. We need to go ahead and make a new file right here in the root of our directory, and we're going to call this case-studies.html. All right, so that's good. And in here, let's go ahead and write some front matter. And we're just going to say layout default. All right, that's good. Let's go back to the website and refresh this page and see if there it is. So here's the footer to the website because that is in our default layout. Now let's go ahead and start piecing this together real quick. So this is going to consist of a few things. Actually, I have it here. Let me show you. All right, so when we click on case studies, we're going to see we have a header that has a background image and overlay, our navigation. We have this case studies headline, and then we have an anchor tag to link to this case study. So let's go ahead and just piece this HTML together. So we're going to have a header with a class of case studies header main and style background image URL, and this is going to be a temporary. This is going to be a temporary image right now that will get replaced later on with the actual image for that study. So let's just go ahead and pick an already existing image in our site. Let's go with our blog index hero just for now. So it's going to be site dot base URL, and this is just going to be assets, images, and this is blog index hero dot html. Sorry, not .html, it's .jpeg. And we can go ahead and close this header off. All right, now that we got that, let's go ahead and put our overlay in there. So it's going to be a div with the class of overlay dark. And we can go ahead and close that. All right, now that we got that, let's go ahead and include our navigation. So it's going to be curly brace, %, include nav.html. And then % and closing curly brace. All right, now the next thing we're going to need is the title and the anchor tags. Let's go ahead and make a little wrapper for it. So this is going to be a div with a class of case studies title, and we can close that. And then inside of here, we're going to make an H1 that says case studies. And we can close that. And then down beneath it, we can make an anchor tag with a class of see our story. And we're not going to make the href go anywhere yet. All right, so then we'll just close this off. And that's going to be it for the HTML portion of this. Let's save it and see if we can see anything yet. All right, so we can see a little bit. Right here is the case studies, and can't visually see anything else yet, but it's there somewhere. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to add some styles to this. So to do that, let's go to our Sass modules, no, not modules, sorry, layouts, and we're going to make a new file here. And this is just going to be called case studies.sass. And in our blog index, we can go ahead and we can copy most of this right here. So let's copy this H1 and let's copy everything to that A tag right there. And go ahead and paste it in here. And now we're just going to need to swap out some of these. So the header has the class of case studies header main. Our overlay dark is the same. Our blog index title, however, is different. It's case studies title. So we'll copy that and paste that here. And then our H1 is simply just an H1 in here. And then our read featured blog post is a bit different. That is, that is see our story. So I'm going to copy that and we're going to go ahead and paste that right here. And let's save that. And let's just see how this is looking for now. Refresh the page. And nothing. Oh, right. We need to go ahead and import this here. So import case studies. No, not that whole thing. Save it. Now let's go ahead and refresh this. There we go. So it's getting there. We got a little bit of this stuff here. What is not working? What did we do wrong here? Header. That's all good. Div. The overlay here. Overlay. Okay, let's see if that works. All right, so that's working. And then now we just need to go ahead and we didn't write in our anchor tag, so we just need to write see our story. And let's check this out again. All right, so this is our case studies index page. As you'll see, it's just like this here, minus the different background image, and that is okay because that will go ahead and we will change that in the future. So now we can go ahead and add our custom collection to our site. Okay, so to go ahead and add our custom collections to this site, it's pretty simple. So first thing we need to do is go ahead and open our _config.yaml, and let's go down at the bottom here. And what we're going to write is we're going to write collections. And then underneath that, we're going to write case studies. And right there, that's it. The collection is set up. That's literally all you have to do to set up a collection. But we want this collection to put a separate page for each HTML file that we have inside of it. So to do that, all we need to do is underneath case studies, we need to write output true. And that will make each file inside of our case studies collections render at its own page. So next thing we need to do is we need to add our actual case studies here. So let's make a new folder, and just like post, this is going to be underscore case studies, just like that. All right, now inside of here, we can go ahead and we can make a file. So let's name this first file. It's just going to be zacharyrnewton.html. And this is going to be our case study. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of front matter real quick. And let's just give it, let's give it a title. Well, not a title. Let's go ahead and call it a company name. Company name Zachary R. Newton, just like that. And that's all we need at the moment. Now, just so we can see something on here, let's go ahead and write that out. So it's going to be curly brace, page dot company name, and that should print the name on the page. So let's come back over here to our site, and so we see we have this right here, but this isn't going to go anywhere, and we aren't able to see any links to our pages. So let's go ahead and add those links real quick. But first, because we changed stuff in our config.yaml, we need to go ahead and actually restart this server. It's going to be bundle exec Jekyll serve with the flag watch and the flag base URL set to nothing. And all right, so now we need to go ahead and make a for loop in our case studies.html page so that we can see our case study. So let's open that up, and we're going to write curly brace %sign for case study in site.case studies, and then we're going to end this with the %sign and curly brace. And let's end the for loop. It's going to be curly brace %sign end for. And then in here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make an anchor tag. So it's going to be an anchor tag heading to case study. Sorry, curly brace case study dot URL. And we're going to make it say curly brace case study dot company name. Let's save that and check it out and see if it worked. All right, so here we go. Here's the company name, and this is the case study page that we created. There just is no styling because we haven't declared a layout for it at all. So let's go ahead and make that layout. All right, so back here in our underscore layouts folder, we're going to make a new file, and that new file is going to be called case study.html. Okay, so in this case study.html layout, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go back to our case studies.html, and we're going to copy the header here, and we're just going to paste that in right here. And this case study layout needs to use our default layout. And we need to change just a couple things here. After the header, this is where we're gonna put our content. And after our H1 here, we're going to write an H3, and we're going to call that case study. and close the H3. And we're going to change the class of this anchor tag to say don't like reading. And then we're going to change the text inside of here to say the same thing. Don't like reading, and we can add a question mark. Let's go ahead and save that. And I think that's going to be pretty good for this, but we do need to go ahead and change the styles. So in our SAS layouts, case studies, we need to go ahead and add the class don't like reading to this. Don't like reading. And we also need to go ahead and add some styles for that H3. So the styles for the H3 is going to be pretty simple. Let's go ahead and put them after the H1 here. They're going to be font size 1.5 em, text align center, color, let's use our white variable, and the font family, that is going to be our font stack 2. And the last style we're going to change is our font weight. And let's set that to 200. Save it. And let's go ahead and refresh the page and see if it worked. Actually, we're not going to see that at all because we need to go ahead and we need to tell our case study to use the case studies layout. So to do that, we're going to write layout case study. And let's go ahead and try that and refresh that now. Alright, so we have the header, the overlay, here's our navigation, case studies, this is the H1, this is the H3, and then we have our anchor tag. But we need to go ahead and change a few styles here because this is not displaying properly. So over in our case studies.sas, the first thing we're going to need to change is in our H1, our margin, instead of being 30 pixels on the top and bottom, it's just going to be 30 pixels on the top, and we're going to make all the rest 0. And down in our anchor tag, we need to add a few styles. The first of which being the same margin, 30 pixels on the top, 0 on the right, 0 on the bottom, and 0 on the left. And let's give it a line height of 1 em. Save that. Now let's go ahead, refresh the page. Okay, so that's almost there, but to fix this issue right here, we need to go ahead and add display inline block to our anchor tag, and that should resolve that issue. There we go. Alright, so that's looking exactly how we want that to look according to this right here, minus the background image. So now that we have our case studies index page, our custom collection, and our for loop to display our case studies inside of our case studies index page, we are ready to go ahead and end this video for the day. And in the next video, we are going to pick up where we left off, and we are going to begin working on the individual layout for our case study. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If it helped you, subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. That's it for today, so I will see you next week in our next video.